Bust a toast for the friends that take off the below. One time did sit down in a class and report. Then only set the road and me go on with the road.
Jamaica, the land of Bob Marley, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Usain Bolt, and of course, Reggae Month, the only month-long reggae music festival on planet Earth, where something reggae happens every day in the month of February, ranging from mega reggae concerts, reggae award ceremonies, and educational symposia on reggae.
Yeah, blessings fall by my right hand.
February is Reggae Month. Reggae Month is February, when Jamaica invites the world to come to Mecca, Reggae Mecca, and come catch the rhythm like no place else on earth, only in Jamaica.
And that's how I made to give him the door, breathe, and me the lies and
Reggae Conversations, personal testimonials from reggae personalities who helped to create the music. A conversation with reggae ambassadors who took the music to the world.
For this reggae conversation, we welcome Spec the Boss. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you enjoying Jamaica?
Oh, Jamaica is like a second home to me. I absolutely love it. You know, big up to everybody in Jamaica and Happy New Year, health, strength, wealth, and all of the Almighty's greatest blessings.
So you consider yourself to be a Canadian reggae ambassador?
Well, it's a name that was given to me by the people in Jamaica still, because I'm always here, always representing for the music, the culture, the vibes, and always promoting and endorsing the country.
Yeah, you do so many things. You're a selector, you're
Yes.
a DJ.
Sound selector, DJ, MC, announcer, radio personality, producer, and definitely a person that always marketing and promoting the whole genre within the music and the culture.
You were born outside of Jamaica, but
Yes.
that really don't matter to you, does it?
Well, I was born in Toronto, Canada, and it doesn't matter to me because when my parents migrated to Canada from Clarendon, big up to everybody out there in Clarendon and Maypen and Moko, you know, they obviously left behind a lot of the culture. And being born in Canada and then starting to listen to reggae music from my dad playing, you know, 8-track cassettes with like Dennis Brown sitting and watching, Michigan and Smiley, Diseases, and Muta Baruka, big up Muta Baruka. He had a song called It No Good to Live in a White Man Country Too Long.
It no good to stay in a white man country too long. It no good to stay in a white man country too long. In the 50s, my mother, sister run go England. Now them gone America, them turn American. It no good to stay in a white man country too long.
And when I heard these songs here, you know what I mean, they resonated because I thought, what, did they really say that? And, you know, I started learning about the roots and the reality and the fact that, you know what I mean, things that we don't learn within the schools or in the books or on television, all that, the music, you know what I mean, it just gravitated to me, the things that they were saying, and I started learning about whether it be the national dish, you know, whether it be the national bird. So, you know, I gravitated to it because it taught me about my culture and some of the things that my parents may not have had the time to teach me about because, you know, migrating to a new country, you know, you got to work and find your way and all that. So, you know, it was just a way of me learning about, you know what I mean, the things that I needed to know, you know, about the places where my parents walked, you know, where they grew, the places they went to school, the food, you know. So it's more like a learning tool that I really fell in love with, and I felt, you know, it was my obligation to learn it, take it all in, and to put it back out there for the next generations of Canadians that would be coming up and would be losing that part of the culture same way too. So it's just a way of maintaining the culture and being able to spread and expand it for those that, you know, are naturally going to miss it from not being here in Jamaica.
How old were you when you sort of discovered reggae?
Well, I always had it discovered, but as far as, you know, me, it grabbing onto me and taking me saying, yo, we need you here, I'd say about 12, 13 years old.
Yeah. What was happening at that time?
What was happening that time in life, I was basically trying to find my way. You know, I was, you know, being in Canada, you know, we were raised on, of course, different types of music, whether it be like pop or country, you know, and I was raised, you know, within, you know, that whole Michael Jackson area, that Run DMC era, you know what I mean, where hip hop and pop were really colliding and making their commercial debut, we'll say. And, you know, from there, you know, it just really took off for me as far as, you know, just wanting to be within the culture and immersed in the culture and do my part within it.
Which reggae artist or which reggae song at that time really was really speaking to you?
Oh, man. Well, there's a few. Of course, the Bob Marley's them. But one song that really, you know, as I said, the 3 songs that I named off earlier, but a song such as Johnny Osborne, Promise Is Not Gonna Break My Promise to Jah. You know what I mean? That was a very heavy song. It resonated with me. Dennis Brown, True. You know what I mean? You gotta watch some of the things that you say, some of the things that you do, the places that you go, the people that you're with. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so just any song that really, you know, spoke about roots, reality, culture, inspiration, motivation, and really taught about the history, you know, of the things that, you know, we should know that are not really put in the books them or on the television or radio.
When did you become a selector?
Oh, when I became a selector probably about the age of 14, 15 years old is when I really started, you know, taking into the music, purchasing the 45s them and, you know, learning more about the artists them, wanting to watch more of the sound clash them on, you know, whether it be Stings or the Soundfest or, you know, I mean, whatever it was, wherever I could get that, you know, I mean, that education, that energy and the vibes, you know.
Who's your favorite selector?
My favorite selector? Well, there's a few of them still. It depends on what realm you want to go. If you want to talk like Sound Clash, it'd probably be someone like a Ricky Trooper. If you want to talk about like someone that, you know, upheld the music and you know, really talked about the foundation, groundation, you have to talk about someone like maybe like a Tony Screw from Downbeat. If you want to talk about like a sound that, you know what I mean, helped with production and you know what I mean, taking the artists them from whether the streets them or for wherever they're from and bringing them into the studio and producing, then I'm going to talk like maybe like a Silverhawk with Steely and Clevie, or a King Jammies, big up to Father Jammies, or Black Scorpio, Jack Scorpio, you know what I mean? So it just depends on what area of the music, you know, we're talking about still. Yeah. But a lot of them have inspired me in many ways. And of course, like the Stone Loves, you know what I mean, for what they've done as far as a sound system and being able to, you know what I mean, bring in employ so many different people and then put it out there in the world and then have a segment here in Canada, a segment there in Miami and the US, have a segment in the UK, you know what I mean, just to see what they did, you know what I mean, with the sound system and turning it into actual business and showing that it could be formidable, it could be marketable, it could be profitable.
You mentioned a couple of people, Scorpio, Trooper.
And of course, Rory, Stone Love too.
Right.
You know?
What sort of selector are you? I mean, where do you fall in the...
Well, as far as with me, I'm like my own type of selector. Like, I'm like a bit of all those sounds there. And of course, I got, you know, my North American, Toronto, Canadian flavor with it too. And, you know what I mean? And then with the influence of the R&B and the hip hop, you know what I mean? Do a lot of remixing and refixing and the cutting and scratching and the blending and, you know what I mean? Taking the acapellas, then put them on different rhythms. And, you know, I'm more like that DJ that you can listen to, but it sounds like you're listening to a mixtape, but it's actually a live DJ. So, you know, I try to keep my thing clean and nice and balanced. And
he didn't have a mom or dad to help him get through. She said, help me, Father, help me.
This decision to establish in foreign a sound system. Tell us about that experience.
Well, as far as establishing a sound system, as I said, you know, with Canada, we get influenced by a lot of different types of music, and with Toronto being probably the biggest melting pot in the whole wide world, you have to know how to be able to cater to different people, whether they're white, black, Chinese, you know, Portuguese, Sri Lankan, you know, no matter where they come from. So you got to be able to, you know, take all that in and being able to, you know, mix it up and blend it in a way that you can put it back there and present it where everybody, you know, is pleased. Because in Canada, yeah, we have our dance halls that are predominantly black and people that love, you know, Jamaican music and culture, but we also have our clubs them where, you know, Jamaicans might make up maybe 10, 15% of that whole event. So you got to just, you know, find a way to basically still preserve and keep the culture, but also still find a way to present that culture where it's not gonna mess up the vibes or bring a vibe or put a fold into anything. It's just gonna, stay smooth or consistent with it or elevate it, So we just try to find the ways to elevate it and push and promote it. Because, with us coming from the fourth largest place in North America, we have that opportunity to really spread and do really great works with the music and, represent for Jamaica, so that when Jamaicans or artists them come from Jamaica to Canada, the places them are full, they have the crowd, they can make their money and, and bring that culture to us that's so needed.
What's the reggae and dancehall scene like in Canada at the moment?
Well, the reggae and dancehall scene is really big in Canada. It really, especially in places like Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, and Calgary. Very, very big, very, very profitable. But sometimes there's a lot of problems with it. And when I say a lot of problems, it mostly comes from us not being able to get the artists then from Jamaica into Canada, because a lot of times there's a visa problem, a visa issue. So that's why a lot of times my wife and I, we come to Jamaica to try to figure out, how we can break down that barrier, especially for the artists them, the producers them, and the band members them, because the visa situation in Canada is really, really bad. I know that it's, bad when it comes to people wanting to go to America, the artists them, or go to the UK, but with Canada, it just seems to be like a different level of problems. So we're just trying to find our ways to, navigate that system and being able to bring the artists them and being able to present, what Canada so rightfully deserves, and that is, the music, the culture, the energy, and the vibe, especially coming from Jamaica.
Do you remember your first sound clash?
My first sound clash, oh man, I've had so many of them, but actually, yes, I do, yeah, I do remember.
Did you win?
Yeah, we won by lock-off. We locked off the sound, and the sound actually never played again until probably about like 3 years ago. And this was that clash was in 1994 or 5 or something like that.
Where was that?
That was in Canada.
Tell us about the entire experience.
Just the experience, that was my first sound clash. So, trying to find, how to get these dub plates and, how to pay for these dub plates, how to put them together, mix them down, selecting them at the right time. Just, when it comes to sound clash, there's so many little things and little details that you just have to just check every box in order to make sure that you have a good fighting chance.
Yeah. So what makes for a good clash?
Good clash, just entertainment, just finding a way to engage with the audience.
I can't hear you! Let's hear it for Bunjo!
Play the songs that they want to hear, knowing when to play the songs that they want to hear, being able to be ready to counteract and react to any next sound's tunes, especially if they have a custom disrespecting you, then on top of it, with the sound clash thing, you got to really do your research and make sure you have good friends in the business, especially with the artists then, because the artists then, they can do a dub plate for you, dissing me, and then come back and call me and say, yo, I did a dub plate for him, dissing you, so now I'm gonna send you one dissing him. So, it's just like, it's like a game. It's like playing chess, not checkers. You got to know the right moves and make sure that your moves are planned 4 or 5 songs ahead, just in case, a move is made, and you got to be ready to just, capture that piece.
I want every cell phone light on in here right now. Every single cell phone. If you're missing a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, an uncle, an auntie, a niece, or a nephew, a cat, or a dog, or a hamster. All right, hurry up and come back.
Was the last thing she said to her son.
I want everyone in Toronto to sing this song.
Do you have a sort of regimen before you go into a clash?
Of course, everyone has to have a regiment. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you have to have a regiment. So my regiment is really, finding out, with the dub box, I was fortunate because I started in a time when I was able to cut a lot of the foundation artists, whether it be Dennis Brown, Sugar Minot, whether it would have been an artist such as Alton Ellis, what I mean? So I was able to, get a lot of the foundation. So anything that I do now is just sprinkling the newer artists them in there and building the box like that. So, you know, just figuring out what the top songs are at the time, and just get that balance between the old and the new, and trying to figure out how to mix them together. So for instance, if I have like an Alton Ellis dub plate, Change Your Mind, we'll say, and I know like a new artist like Massacre's up right now, why not put the Massacre upon that Alton Ellis rhythm so I can mix them in?
When them see Massacre and Spec, tell them say don't get vexed, you know. International link up, you know, go way outside.
Merge the foundation with the new artists, them in the same time, keep a nice blend, and, you know, keep the foundation of the music and the roots real to the Clash thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, just a lot of little tricks and, you know, just little things like that.
You've been a World Clash champion.
Yes, sir.
How many times?
Well, 2016, we won it actually 2016 and 2017. But the 2017, I wasn't present for that one there. I had other engagements and all that, but made sure that the sound was loaded and ready same way too. So, you know, they were able to take it themselves. So big up to King Turbo Sound in Canada. That's Canada's giant sound. So like how you have Stone Love in Jamaica, King Turbo's like the Stone Love, you know, of Canada.
King Turbo is stepping up. King Turbo stepping up. Oh Lord, whoa, whoa, yeah, it's rolling. My song, King Turbo.
In 2016, who did you defeat in the final to win the
Warrior Sound from Germany. Was it Warrior Sound? Yeah, I believe Warrior Sound. Yes, Warrior Sound. Big shout out going to Batia from Germany, from Warrior Sound.
So what was that whole experience like? A world championship?
Well, for me, it was
sound system.
It was like my first major clash out of Canada, and doing it in New York, in which they say New York is the so-called Mecca sound clash, which I don't understand, where Jamaica's a Mecca of reggae and dancehall music and the creator of the sound clash. But, you know, being able to do it in New York, in Amazura, in front of, you know what I mean, a lot of the sound system fraternity, not only just the sound systems, but the radio personalities, TV personalities, and being on a global stage in a global place, you know, it was just absolutely incredible. Like, with that energy and vibe, I don't think I'll ever feel something like that, you know what I mean, of that magnitude and that war sound clash space.
Do you find that sound clash is bigger overseas than on the island?
I would say yes. From my experiences, because all the times I've been come to Jamaica, I haven't really been to many sound clashes. Whereas sound clashing, you know, whether not just in Canada and foreign, you know, keeps a lot, you know. But I also think that's also due to a financial thing, because with the prices of dub plates, the artists, a lot of the sounds here in Jamaica and you know, in the Caribbean, and then especially in third world countries, can't afford the prices that these artists are charging. So, you know, I think that because of the fact that we have more opportunities, and the artists you know, they pay probably more respect to the other places outside of Jamaica, because I guess they see more opportunity in those places. So they'll work with the sounds out of Jamaica more than they work with the sounds in Jamaica, which, you know, they got to find a balance, because, you know, sound clash doesn't, you know, this is the Mecca, this is where it starts from. So, you know what I mean? I just saw the root there, so you have to build it and make sure, you know, it's done proper, so that when those outside of Jamaica do it, they represent it and deal with it proper, and, you know, don't spoil up the formula that Jamaica has come up with.
Tell us about your experience with King Turbo. How many years were you with?
Well, I've been with King Turbo basically from day one, but officially joined it, the song started in like 1989, but I officially joined about 94, 95. The reason why I say I was kind of at the starting of it, because when King Turbo was formulated, it was actually formulated at my family, Everett, my cousin. That's where they started, you know, practicing their mixing and their MCing, and, you know, so I was always there amongst them and watching, but doing my own sound at the same time. I was doing a song called Paragon at the time, which was my little high school song with my little peoples then, but, you know, to how, you know what I mean, to how we had the place away and the following and all that, you know, there was no choice, you know what I mean, my family, Turbo, they had to say, yo, come with us, because, you know what I mean, your thing is on a level there, but we bring it to our next level here, and plus, we need you, because if they didn't sign me, then I probably would have been their competition anyways.
Yeah. So let's talk about another aspect of your career, radio.
Yes.
How did you get into radio? What's the reggae scene like for Canadian
Well,
radio?
it's I was actually blessed with the radio thing. During those times in Canada, before I just started radio, there was like a lot of violence in the dancehall scene, like a lot of shootings, you know what I mean? And where I came up in Toronto, Canada, you know, I grew up, you know, did my high school, you know, college, played basketball, you know what I mean? Did many things where I met a lot of people. And then I was born as a twin. So I have a twin sister and I have a younger sister, younger than me, 5 years younger than me, but born on the exact same day. You know, so when I was going to, you know, playing dances and all that stuff, I couldn't even invite my own twin sister or my people from my school or my class to my events because they were so violent, and I didn't want to be responsible, you know, for if anything happened to anyone that I knew that came out there to support me. So at that time there, when all this violence was happening in Toronto, one of my good friends, Sean Darcy Rose, aka Blue, may he rest in peace and sleep with angels, he knew someone that did radio, but they were doing a hip hop and R&B show. And because, you know, with reggae and dancehall, as much as we were playing reggae and dancehall, we didn't look like reggae and dancehall DJs. We were dressed like hip hoppers, so everyone always thought we were hip hop DJs or basketball players, you know, because one thing with reggae and dancehall, especially in Toronto, Canada, in order to grab the masses, you kind of gotta present it different, you know, like for instance, the way I speak is different because I'm Canadian, but you know, just everything had to be presented different in order to get reggae and dancehall in rooms and within doors that it was never in. Like for instance, when I started playing reggae and dancehall music as a sound, when we used to go in the clubs not the dancehall, but in the clubs, you know, we only had like 3 songs basically to play. Like they didn't even want that much reggae and dancehall played, so I had to play like a song like Bob Marley, One Love, Rita Marley, One Drop, and UB40, Red Red Wine. Songs that everybody in the place knew, so they can gravitate it, so that, you know, the club owner didn't say, oh, we don't want this music in here. So, you know, went from 3 songs to 5 songs to playing for 15 minutes to half hour to an hour to now in the clubs you can hear predominantly reggae and dancehall in downtown clubs in Toronto and in Canada, which was never really heard of like that. So just little things like that, being able to adjust, you know, so that the music can grow without harming the music or without harming the next generation with the music. So just trying to find ways to open those doors so that it can continue to grow, continue to teach us, and continue to, you know what I mean, help, you know, a lot of the stores because we have such a big Caribbean market, you know, not just Jamaican, but Caribbean market. So a lot of them rely on the culture, you know what I mean, and being able to endorse and market and promote their products, their services, and their businesses in these spaces. So, you know, just things like that. There's so many things that, you know, it comes with, you know, it's a responsibility and one that I don't take lightly.
So your show is pretty much a reggae and dancehall
show. I do, for instance, I'm on 6 days a week on the radio on Flow 98.7, which is the only black station in Canada that plays reggae and dancehall, soca and Afro first before R&B and hip hop. So for instance, like in New York, you have Hot 97, which plays R&B and hip hop, and then they throw reggae and dancehall and soca on the weekend, on a Sunday night, on the toilet bowl time of radio. Whereas with my station, we play reggae, dancehall, soca, and Afro predominantly throughout all the day and all that, and then we sprinkle in the R&B and hip hop, so it's kind of reverse. So during the week, I'm on Monday to Friday from 7 to 10 p.m., from 7 to 11 p.m., sorry, in which it's more playlisted. So I'll go in and I'll speak in the intro and outro songs you know, but it's more playlisted and through a computer. Whereas Sunday when I do my reggae show, then you know, I'm on the turntables live on the 1s and 3s, the C's, the D's, the DVDs, the MP3s, you know, cutting and mixing and scratching and mic talking and toasting and bringing in all the artists you know, who are in town from Jamaica, you know, to do interviews and, you know what I mean, really loud it up, you know what I mean, like how, you know what I mean, the vibes are like how they do it down here in Jamaica, you know, whether you don't want to compare it to, for instance, like a Liquid or a ZJ Chroma and Zip, or, you know, someone like Super Hype on Sun City, or, you know what I mean? So we bring that real, raw, authentic kind of vibes to it. But of course, being responsible with it and, you you know, making sure that it continues to grow.
The growth of Afro beats and the similarity to dancehall. What are your views on that whole situation? There are people thinking that Afro beats is going to be the new big thing, and dancehall may have to take a second chair. What's your view on that?
Well, the thing, when it comes to, you know, music and black music on the whole, I don't really, you know, pit them against each other, especially when it comes to like reggae and dancehall and Afro. But I will say this, that Afro is definitely inspired by reggae and dancehall music. And of course, yes, we know that, you know, African music, you know, is basically the foundation of everything and all that. But if you look at all the music in the world right now, probably 90% of all music, you know what I mean? And when I say all music, I mean from the genres them of music are influenced by reggae and dancehall right now. So it's not a matter of just Afrobeats. It could be pop, it could be rock, it could be country. You can hear a bit of the influence of reggae or dancehall in all those musics there. So with Afro, it's getting bigger, and that's also because organization, that's also because of how they move as a unit. You know, whereas reggae and dancehall music, the infrastructure still needs building. You know what I mean? It really needs building.
What do you mean by that?
Like for instance, I'm looking from especially from a Canadian angle. You know, as I said, you know, I'm on the only black station in all of Canada that plays reggae and dancehall music in prime time on commercial radio. You know what I mean? We're the 4th largest market in North America, you know, as far as just Toronto alone. You know, there's no way that we're supposed to have only one station down there. We don't have a black television station in Canada. You know what I mean? So we don't have those kind of infrastructure. We need more, for instance, newspapers. We need more digital media. You know what I mean? There's so many different things that we need in order to help us elevate and get to the next level. You know what I mean? Such as hip hop. If you notice, they have all the things. They got the labels them behind them. You know what I mean? The government profiting off of them, so they're going to do their part to help market and promote it, whether they're marketing the bad parts of it or the good parts of it. So, you know what I mean, a lot of other places have that infrastructure, you know, whereas in Canada we don't have that infrastructure, and I would say that infrastructure is probably the same way. It's better in other places, but it's not where it's supposed to be in order to make us a global contender against other types of music, including Afro. And especially you see what Afro beats, like if you take one part, a little small corner of Africa that has more people than probably, you know, Canada and Jamaica put together. So, you know, so it's obviously when it comes to population and the support, they're gonna get more of it. And, you know, when you talk about Africans, you know, throughout the world on top of it, you know, they're gonna fight for their music same way too. So,
yeah,
you know, obviously they're gonna get more marketing and promotion because right now they have the resources to do it and the money especially to do it.
But is reggae and dancehall growing? You find that it's growing in your market, or it's
well, if you come to Canada,
not doing as well as it used to?
I'm gonna say it's growing because influence is a major thing also too. And in Canada, when you hear little white kids saying, "Yo, wagwan, where you depan?" You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And trying to get the slang and the twang, and you know, when they hear artists them such as the Bounty Killers and the Vibes Cartels and the Beanie Mans and the Sean Pauls and the Damian Marleys and all these artists them that who are acting upon the same things I'm talking about, finding ways to make a crossover, you know, especially organically, keeping that traditional sound, you know, that traditional pattern of the music and all that, you know, and keeping it raw and authentic. You know what I mean? They're gravitating to it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas others them that are coming in and are trying to find a way to commercialize it and water it down so that everybody will love it and accept it, but they don't understand that people love the rawness of it. They love the message of it. They love, you know what I mean? Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah. So do you find that the sort of new sound of dancehall is taking off?
Well, it depends on the thing. It is taking off. And it's just like, you know, when my parents, they were listening to like, whether it be, you know, the Prince Buster them or, you know, that whether it be the Bob Marleys and the D Browns them or whatever. And then when I came up, you know, I'm listening to Shabba Ranks X-Rated, Angie Angel, Wanda Agony, and them kind of tunes they're playing there. So my parents say, what kind of boogie aga music, this, that, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? But it's the change in the music and the, you know what I mean, and the generations. So then now when I come in, I'm hearing, like, for instance, like, you know, shout out to Jamal and Mr. Dunsman and Valiant and the Pablo YGs and, you know, all these other artists. I'm like saying, what is this? But, you know, it's evolution and change in the music same way. And I enjoy it all same way too. But, you know, it's just changing of the times and the music and the sounds and, you know, the instruments being used and technology that's being applied, you know, so everything has to change. And, you know, if things aren't changing, then something's wrong.
The Jamrock Reggae Cruise.
Yes.
What has been the importance of that in spreading the reggae music?
Well, you know, big shout out going out to the Marley family and the whole Jamrock family. But that cruise is probably one of the most important things that has happened for reggae and dancehall music in maybe the last 25, 30 years. The reason why I'm saying that, because people think about it, okay, it's a cruise and there's a concert, and it's like a big party. You know what I mean? Let's all go on the cruise and have a party. But for me, you know, me coming from Toronto, Canada, you know, means I was a little black kid from up in the north in a place called Snow. When I go that cruise, and it's my 9th one being on that cruise as the ambassador for the reggae cruise from Canada. But to me, it's like the biggest reggae dancehall music conference, because you have, for instance, you got like the dance classes, you got the yoga classes, you got, of course, the concerts, you got the parties, the biggest sound selectors, DJs, MCs, and announcers. Then you have all these other little things, you know what I mean, that if you're not in the reggae dancehall industry and you want to be in it, or if you're in the industry and want to figure a way to flourish and broaden your horizons, then that's the place you need to be. You know, like, for instance, back in like the early 90s there and all that, they used to do a lot of hip hop and R&B conferences in the States, whether it be in Atlanta or New York or whatever. And that helped them to grow a community and build and figure out ways and ideas and how to make this thing better. How do we make it grow? How do we get the music into the DJs? How do we get them to the radio stations? What's the best way to present this? So to me, this Jamrock Cruise is kind of like that, a way that we can meet all the radio people, all the band members, them, all the announcers, them, all the people within television media, all the social media influencers. You know what I mean? Everybody within reggae and dancehall music, or represents in any facet of it, you know, is there on that cruise. So it's like a big place where you can just hand out your business cards them and not only help to grow the music and the industry, but grow yourself too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You've seen how the music has changed, the distribution of music from the 45s, then music became digital. What is your view on how people are consuming the music now, and whether it's benefiting the artists like it used to?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. It depends, because it does benefit them, but at the same time, they kind of lose out. When I say it benefits them, in the time that we're in, you know, with especially digital media platforms and, you know, social media and being able to market your stuff and not really having to depend on especially labels, especially now if you want to be an independent artist. And, you know, there's so many tools that can help you with that. But at the same time, you know, in the space that we're in, you know, it's also destroying it at the same time too, because, for instance, with the artists, there's no real connection. At one time, you know, looking from, you know, the Toronto aspect, looking into Jamaica. At one time, when you look into Jamaica and see how the system works, it was like the government, with no respect to the Jamaican government, but radio people and soundmen were bigger than the government. You know what I mean? Not to say physically, or not to say that they're bigger than the government, but the people then would listen to radio and the sound system them and the artists them, you know what I mean, as the way of communication and finding out what's going on. And that was like their newspaper, that was their social media, that was their everything. But now that we're in this time with the technology and social media, artists them feel they don't need radio personalities and soundmen now there, because they can promote and market their own stuff them. You know what I mean? Radio, you know, is in a time where everything's going digital and satellite and all that, you know, and the soundmen them are almost being replaced with AI and playlists them now. So we're in a very, very confusing spot right now when it comes to the music and the industry, and we just got to find a way, you know, to all work back together and get it back to where it needs to be, you know, so.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, what do you see AI doing to reggae and dancehall? I
Well,
mean,
as far
I
as,
think
you know,
everybody's trying to figure it out, how it's going to work. Well, how do you think it's going to go?
Well, the thing right now, for me personally, the way I'm looking at it, and this is just my view too, we're in a time right now where we got to get into the content creation, because content creation is going to take over everything. And the reason why I'm saying that, like with radio, right now, with AI, they want to AI people's voices now and all that. So soon they're not going to need the live announcers them. They're doing everything to take that away. With AI and all that, even with the artists them and songs, they're using the artists them, voice them, and producing songs them and all that stuff. With playlisting now and all that, that takes away from live DJing and all that. So there's so many little different things. Even writing of songs them nowadays, AI, you know what I mean, can basically write your songs now. You can almost produce beats. You can make album covers with AI right now. So a lot of things are definitely changing. It's just a matter of how you figure out, how we got to figure out what way do we fit in so that we can be a part of the change but still be in control without, you know, this artificial intelligence and everything coming over and telling us what culture is, telling us, you know, how to feel, telling us how to listen, telling us, you know, what we're supposed to be doing, you know what I mean? So content creation right now is more than ever that we have to get involved in, and being able to find a way to stay involved, you know, with all the production and creation without having AI take over everything.
If you weren't doing music, what do you think you'd be doing? What else did you want to do as a little boy?
Well, I think I was playing basketball them times there, and you know, even looking back at everything right now, I just really couldn't even see myself even doing anything, even if I wanted to, because everything that I was doing, you know what I mean, I was either singing or, you know what I mean, performing or being the comedian or, you know, just being that center of attraction, you know, of any, you know what I mean, just entertainment, you know, so
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself really doing anything else, even if I had the chance to.
How would you describe your style of DJ, of selecting?
How would I describe my style? Wow. My style can't spoil, you know what I mean? As I said, you know what I mean? My style is just like live on the ones, the threes, the C's, the D's, the DVDs, the MP3s, representing Kipling to Kennedy, St. John's to BC, from basement to stadium, platinum to titanium. You know, my style is just my style, and my style can't spoil.
But what motivates you?
Life, you know what I mean? Everything, you know, especially the younger generation and my parents. And when I say that, as I explained to you earlier, when my parents, you know, migrated to Canada, you know, they weren't worrying about, you know, I mean, there were certain foods and stuff, especially at that time, that they couldn't even get. So certain things I wouldn't even know, like, you know, things maybe like such as a guinnep, you know what I mean? Not knowing, you know what I mean, little things like that. So things like that inspire me to inspire, for instance, my daughter, when my daughter plans to have kids and their kids' kids and kids', you know what I mean? Just what inspires me is to keep the heritage and the culture and everything that comes from Jamaica, you know what I mean, and keep it, you know what I mean, so that the next generation, and they can know about, you know what I mean, all these great things, all these great peoples, you know, whether it be, you know, Nani, whether it be Bogle, you know, whether it even be Bob Marley or whether, you know what I mean, if we don't, you know what I mean, keep these things there in the forefront, you know, especially through the music, you know what I mean, coming from this great place, Jamaica, then it could slowly dissolve and be lost in the memories of the generations them. So that's what inspires me, you know what I mean? To make sure that the next generation, you know what I mean, has that knowledge, knows about the music, knows about the culture, and wants to help build that infrastructure and make it greater for the next generation after them.
What is your view on the idea of a Reggae Month?
Reggae Month, it's absolutely incredible, but my problem with it is it should be Reggae Year. It should be all year round, you know what I mean? Just like Black History, you know what I mean? It's limited to a month. You know, Reggae Month, you know what I mean? There's so many great people have done so many great things within the whole reggae industry. And I'm not just talking about the singers them, you know what I mean? There's so many producers that help to change the world, songwriters that help to change the world. You know what I mean? Reggae Month is a time that is great because you get to learn about the business of the music, you know what I mean? You get to learn about the artists, them history, you know what I mean? You get to learn so many things, and it inspires and motivates, you know, for the next generation, and also, you know, for the music, same way too. And, you know, for that next artist that might come up and be that next Bob Marley, or that next Chronix, or that next Bounty Killer, or the next Beanie Man or Vibes Cartel. You know, I just think that it should be a lot longer. You know what I mean? It should be year round. It's something that should be in the curriculum of schools. You know what I mean? A lot of these artists, them are internationally renowned and have changed the world in many ways that people maybe in Jamaica don't even realize, you know, that they made changes in different parts of the world and influence a lot of different things in the world. So, you know what I mean? That should be in the curriculum. You know, Reggae Month should really be kicking that off for it to be in the school curriculum. Reggae Month, for instance, in Canada, even with our, when we're doing our radio and television, we're mandated to play 33% of Canadian content. You know what I mean? So that means everything that's aired on television, on radio, you know, it has to be 33% Canadian. You know, whereas in Jamaica, I don't think that you guys have that rule there. You guys basically call, you know, your international artists, such as whether it be the Marleys, them, the Chronix, them, the Bounty, them, you guys say they're local artists. But these are international, out-to-national artists, them, you know what I mean? So, you know, with our, for instance, our Canadian government, as I said, that we have to play 33% of this, that, and, you know, that should be like same here in Jamaica. Our Canadian government, you know, funds, you know what I mean, our artists, them, and our arts, them, you know, just so that they can say made in Canada. So they will give you money to produce videos, produce music, you know, buy studio equipment, you know, camera equipment, you know what I mean, all these things here to help endorse, you know, all these things that, you know, are popping up from Canada to say made in Canada so that it spreads our culture and our influence throughout the world. Whereas Jamaica has all of that, but they don't have that backing, at least I don't think, from the government, where the government's gonna say, okay, we're gonna help fund this so you guys can make your videos, so you guys can, you know, make your songs, pay for your studio time, pay for your equipment, this, that, whatever the case is. So, you know what I mean, just, there's so many little things that I think with Reggae Month, you know what I mean, it could spawn off to help a lot of different things and have different conversations that are not had, you know, so.
Well, you refer to AI as one of the threats and
Yes.
maybe opportunities going forward, but what about lyrical content? Is that affecting the reach of the music, violence, sex?
Well, as far as the music, but if you look at hip hop, you know what I mean, which basically, you know, has some of the same topics and context and all that, it's very, very successful. You know, the most successful music and the biggest genre to come out probably in the last 50 years, you know, so when it comes to the content and all that, I understand when people are saying that, but why is it only reggae and dancehall music that they make these arguments for? You know what I mean? So, does it affect the music? Depends on who's listening to it. You know, it depends on who's listening to it. You know, because some of the music and the content, you know, that's the reality of, you know, some people's lives, especially for those that don't have the money or don't have the opportunities. So that's the reality, you know? So, as I said, it depends on who's listening to the music.
What has been your greatest accomplishment to date?
To date, man, I've been blessed by the Almighty to have so many opportunities. You know, I've been the first to do so many things and the only person to be doing a lot of things even up to now. So for me to name any one thing, I'd be doing a disservice, you know, because a lot of giants have helped me, you know, along my way. You know, a big shout out going out to Denham Jolly, who put up the first black radio station in Canada. Then to Mr. Gordon, Mr. Fitzroy Gordon, who passed away, another Jamaican, who put up the next all-black station in Canada after the first one was sold. And, you know, so, I mean, there's so many giants that have helped me. You know, that I don't even know how to answer that question.
Well, let's start by doing a list then. You've won the World Clash Championship. That's
Yes.
that's a major achievement for you.
Being probably the only reggae DJ to be on commercial radio. That's another one. Being able to play at the Scotiabank Arena, opening up for Buju Banton when he was at Scotiabank Arena, sold out. That's where our Toronto Raptors play. You know, so that's like a major, major stadium. You know, being able to do that.
Gonna be on this stage tonight. Let's hear it for Buju.
They're welcome to Jamrock Reggae Cruise. That's another thing there. You know, if I start, I can't even name, like, I went through a list of just the things I went through in 2024, and I had so many things that I even forgot. You know, I'm just very blessed and highly favored, and I give thanks to the Almighty. And for me to name anything really would be to do a disservice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can go to my website or my Instagram at Spec the Boss and get all the information on that. Yo, Hanamada Shonde, Hanamada Gundy, yours truly, Specs the Boss, Canada's reggae ambassador, representing Kipling to Kennedy, St. John's to BC. Yo, and a lot of my things that I've done and all that, you know, I don't think, as a matter of fact, I know for a fact I would never have done it, and it would never happen without my wife. You know, my wife has really pushed, you know, so much, especially getting into the space of Jamaica. Because I started coming back to Jamaica in 2006. My wife has been to Jamaica over 75 times, you know what I mean? And since 2006, I've probably been here probably about 50 times myself, 45, 50 times, because we understand the importance of coming here, you know what I mean? Taking in the culture and then putting it back out into the world, especially in Canada. So, yeah.
You got engaged on the Jamrock cruise?
Well, what happens, you know, big shout out going out to Taurus Riley, Singy, you know, one of my favorite artists, favorite singers, my wife's favorite singer between him and Barris. But basically what happened on Jamrock Cruise, as I said, it's a big melting pot, and if you want to get work done there, whether you want to produce a song, write a song, shoot a video, there's so many things. So when I go there, I have a checklist of things I need to do, and one of the things that I like to do is cut dub plates on the cruise. So I said, call Taurus Riley up, and I said, Taurus, you know, more cut some tune on the board. He said, yeah, man, no problem. And then I told him, yo, and I plan on getting engaged on the cruise. He was one of the few people that knew I was actually planning on the engagement. And I said, so when we do the dub plate, I'm gonna invite my wife into the room to cut the dub plate them. But what we are gonna do is we're gonna flip the lyrics them and change it to a proposal lyric and all that. And I'm gonna propose to her on the spot. And he goes, yo, that bad still, you know. And then Taurus come back in 15 minutes, goes, no, we not do it that way there. We not do it that way there, that kind of lame. We do it on the stage. I said, on the stage? I said, my wife ain't coming up on no stage to do, because my wife is a person that's always behind the scenes. You don't see her. It's only me. I'm the one that puts her out there and tags her and posts her picture out on the grams and all that stuff. So I said, we have to figure it out. So he showed me how to do it. He told me where to sit beside his mom. He's gonna walk over and say, we have a special guest inside the building, so people think it's an artist or whatever the case is. And then he held the mic over and said, yo, special guest, come grab the microphone. So then I grabbed the microphone, I walk up on stage, and you know, I did my thing. And she didn't know what was really happening at the time until she turned around and saw all of our friends and family on the cruise with the cameras out, you know, ready to, you know, see the proposal. And, you know, brought us up on stage, and, you know, I called her up, did the do, went on the knee, and, you know, and
Say yes by the microphone, make everybody. Yeah!
created another monumental, historical, you know, experience for people, which was absolutely amazing, because if I'm correct, the next year, I think someone else did the exact same thing and begged Taurus, and Taurus like, no, I'm not doing it. And I had to say, yo, Taurus, please, you know what I mean? It's truly a great thing that you did, you know what I mean? And maybe you should add it to your act too, you know what I mean? Because for you to take time out of your time to celebrate your craft to the world and give somebody else the opportunity to, you know what I mean, change their world and to influence and change someone's world, you know, that's absolutely incredible. So I gotta give it up to Taurus Riley, you know, for that, and to the Jamrock crew for giving me that platform to be able to do it on.
Yeah. Wow. What's next for you?
What's next for me? going back to Canada, taking, you know what I mean, all the energy, the vibes, the knowledge, the research, and the advice that I've been given, you know, by so many great people here on this island, and trying to find a way to bring it back to Canada and, you know, allow them to benefit from it, learn from it, get the knowledge from it, get them inspired from it and motivated from it. And trying to figure out ways that we can make the relationship between Canada and Jamaica even greater, and trying to find a way to, you know what I mean, get those barriers broken as far as like with the visa issues, you know what I mean, with issues such as having the artists them come into venues in Canada too, because we have a problem with even venues in Canada too. You know, some of the venues don't want the reggae and dancehall in there. You know, they don't want it there. Sure, I say they don't want it in there at first, but when they realize that their clubs or their establishments aren't making money, and realize they're, you know, especially people within the reggae and dancehall industry, we're bossy. We like to come in at your place and buy buckles and turn up the place and, you know what I mean, basically helping them pay their mortgages and rents. That's when they allow us really to come in, you know, to help fix their problems. But, you know, so it's just, you know, just finding ways to just get us on that even playing field and make sure that everyone has the same equal opportunity as every other person within every other genre of music.
I'm curious, why do you think Bob Marley is still the best-selling, most played reggae artist across the world?
When you make music, you got to make music that even the little kids and children them can enjoy and understand. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that you know that the kids them are always listening. So when you can make music like that resonates with, you know what I mean, all age groups, all demographics, you know, spreading nothing but positivity and love and standing up for yourself and, you know what I mean, going out for the things that you know what I mean, that you truly want. And, you know what I mean, when you have music like that is just truly inspirational but real, you know what I mean, you can't go around that, you know, and especially with reggae music and the way that they marketed Bob as a, you know, as a rock band, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about even with us, you know, just down to the way, you know what I mean, I DJ, the way I talk and all that. That's probably an influence from Bob Marley too, because sometimes they got to be able to understand you. You know, they got to be able to feel you. And in order to feel you, they got to be able to understand you and be able to relate with you. And, you know, with Bob Marley, his music and the message is so timeless, you know what I mean, that it has to stay on the chart. This man, you know what I mean, liberated Zimbabwe and things like that through his music, you know what I mean? That's what reggae and dancehall music does. I don't know any other music that does that. You know what I mean, where I got taught the realness. You know, there's no other music that's gonna do it. And that's why they try to fight reggae and dancehall music, especially in places in, you know, out of Jamaica. But I see even here in Jamaica, same way too, you know? And I have a problem with that, you know what I mean? When I, you know, as a Canadian, and I know a lot of people, you know, that come from different parts of the world, that come to Jamaica. When we come to Jamaica, and especially me come from Toronto to Jamaica, I don't want to hear Drake. I don't want to hear The Weeknd. I see those guys, you know, in Canada and Toronto, they're Canadians. I come to Jamaica for the culture, for the energy and that vibes, you know what I mean? And for reggae and dancehall music, you know what I mean? So Jamaica really needs to embrace the culture, the music, and start marketing and promoting and put money into the artists, them, into all these institutions, you know, so that, you know, it can flourish the way it's supposed to flourish. But as I said, you know, it's a two-way street. We need the people then within the diaspora to, you know, to do their part too, you know. So we need Jamaicans, you know what I mean, whether in the States or in Australia or in the UK or, you know, whether in Greenland, you know, or Alaska, wherever Jamaicans are, we need it for all of them to step up, or people who are, you know, kids of Jamaicans, you know, the generations of Jamaicans, we need them all to step up and just do their part and represent for the music, you know what I mean, and get it onto the radio, onto televisions, get it into the concert venues, into the magazines, and do everything that we can to make sure that reggae and dancehall music and Jamaica is out there in the world to see, because Jamaica, as I tell everybody, is the biggest brand in the world. And Jamaica is the only brand in the world that doesn't need any marketing or promotion. You know what I mean? People will naturally come here and all that because of everything that it has to offer. You know what I mean? So to all the Jamaicans out there, you know, everywhere else in the world, you know, do your part. You know, everything that Jamaica has given us, we got to make sure that Jamaica gets back.
Spec's the boss. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate everyone here. You know, Reggae Month, a very, very important and integral thing here, not only for Jamaica, but for the world, and it needs to become a reggae year, and it needs to become, you know, just a thing that is just natural all the time. You know, we endorse and promote, because, you know, reggae music truly is the greatest music in the world, the realest music in the world, and the music with the message for the world.
Thank you.
That is it.
Every cell phone, turn on! Every cell phone!